There are moments in life when silence screams louder than any argument. You walk away thinking it's over, but something keeps pulling you back. A memory, a scent, a look, a message left unsent. And maybe, just maybe, that same pull is happening. On the other side, she doesn't say it, she won't say it. But somewhere in the secret places of her heart, she wishes you were still there. Friend, I'm not here tonight to preach fantasy. I'm here to talk about truth. And this truth is simple. Love never really dies. It either transforms or it hardens. And right now, her love is still alive, but wrapped in silence, wrapped in pride, wrapped in pain. This message isn't for the weak-hearted. It's for the man who has wrestled with regret, fought with pride, and still feels something burning inside. You need to hear this all the way through. Why? Because before this night is over, you may have the key to restore something you thought was lost forever. Let me ask you this. Have you ever missed someone who pretended not to miss you? Have you ever seen her post, her smile, her glow, and wondered, is that happiness, yours, or armor? I tell you today, there are chains stronger than steel, and one of them is unspoken love. She won't say she misses you. She won't say she cries at night when no one's watching. She won't say, she still replays your last words before you walked away. But inside her heart, there's a battle. One part says, let him go. The other part cries, please, come back. Now don't mistake her silence for peace. Many of us have learned how to function in pain. We smile, we work, we move on. But when love is real, it leaves fingerprints on the soul, and her soul has not forgotten you. But hear this truth clearly. She won't be the first to say it, not because she doesn't care, but because she's scared. Scared of rejection. Scared that your return might just be temporary. Scared that your love hasn't changed. So what do? You become the man who can walk through that fear. You show up not with promises but with proof. You don't just say, I miss you. You become the man she was always hoping you would be. Because love that heals is not love that repeats. It's love that rises. Love that listens more than it speaks. Love that leads with humility, not ego. In the end, friend, don't wait on her confession. She may never admit it out loud. But if your heart still beats for her, and if your love is real, then it's your move. The door may be locked from the outside, but her heart is still waiting. She can't admit it, but she wants you back, and God help you. If you've been given one more chance, don't waste it. The power of unspoken love is one of the most profound forces in human nature. It doesn't speak in loud declarations or in the obvious gestures that we often expect. Instead, it lingers in the quiet spaces, the moments between words, the actions that are often unnoticed. You see, love doesn't always need to be vocalized for it to be deeply felt. Sometimes, the strongest emotions are the ones we keep closest to our hearts, those we are too afraid to admit or unsure how to express. It's a love that's carried in every glance, every subtle touch, every hesitation to move on, despite the appearance of moving forward. This kind of love is powerful because it transcends time and circumstance. It doesn't fade away easily even when we try to bury it. When someone truly cares, it leaves an indelible mark on their soul, a fingerprint that can never be erased. And it's in those moments, after the arguments, after the hurt, when all seems lost, that unspoken love still finds its way into the quiet corners of the heart. Perhaps she doesn't say she misses you, but when she looks at you, there's something in her eyes. A tenderness that wasn't there before, a flicker of the bond you once shared. It might be subtle, but it's there if you're paying attention. Often, this unspoken love grows even more powerful because it is unacknowledged. It becomes a silent weight, a burden that neither party is willing to confront, afraid that by admitting it, they'll either expose their vulnerability or reopen wounds that have not yet healed. And yet, this love remains. It doesn't demand attention or make noise, but in the deepest places it's still alive, pulsing quietly, waiting for the right moment to be acknowledged. The unspoken words carry more weight than any spoken promise could ever have. They hold the truth of what was, what could have been, and what might still be. There's a complexity in this kind of love that few understand. It's not weak, and it's not absent. It's simply hidden, tucked away, often because we are too proud, too afraid, or too hurt to admit its presence. But for those who understand this truth, they realize that the most powerful feelings can often be the ones we're too scared to express. And so, in the silence, love quietly endures, hoping for a moment when it can be brought to the surface once more. Pride, in many ways, stands as the greatest barrier to the rekindling of love. It is the silent enemy that prevents people from reconnecting, from reaching out to one another. Pride has the ability to construct walls around our hearts, keeping us from admitting feelings we might still have for someone, especially when vulnerability is at risk. It is often not hatred that drives us apart, but our own refusal to show, weakness to acknowledge that we might have been wrong, or to admit that our hearts still long for the very person we've distanced ourselves from. The heart can ache with desire, but pride will silence it, convincing us that to reach out is to lose control, to show that we are not in command of our emotions. In relationships, pride is a two-sided sword. On one hand, it protects us from getting hurt again. It builds a defense against the pain of rejection, the fear of being left behind once more. On the other hand, it also keeps us stuck in a cycle of loneliness and regret. For someone who truly loves, pride can be the heaviest burden of all, because it whispers that to give in, to admit that you want to return to someone, is to make yourself vulnerable to the same hurt that once drove you apart. So, even though she may miss you, she will not speak those words aloud. Not yet. She'll stand back, watch from a distance, waiting for you to make the first move. Pride tells her, don't let him see that you still care. It tells her that to admit her feelings would be a sign of weakness, that it would give you power over her. But in truth, pride does not protect the heart. It locks it away. The greatest irony of pride is that it often keeps us from the very thing we desire most. The person we want to return to reconcile with, is pushed further away because of our inability to set aside our egos. Pride doesn't just create distance between two people, it creates distance within ourselves too. It forces us to suppress the longing, to ignore the still burning desire to restore what was broken. And so, as much as she wants to admit that she wants you back, pride keeps her silent, keeps her bound in a place of emotional captivity, where love cannot fully reach her or find its way back to you. There are signs, subtle and fleeting, that speak louder than words ever could, even when she won't admit it, even when pride holds her back from confessing. The signs of her lingering feelings are there for those willing to look closely. These signs are not always obvious, but they are powerful in their own right, hidden in the quiet moments and the seemingly insignificant interactions. A glance that lingers just a little too long, a smile that speaks more than politeness, a moment of hesitation when she says goodbye. These are the signs of a heart that hasn't completely let go. Perhaps it's the way she still asks about your life, even in passing. The questions may seem casual, but there's more beneath the surface. She wants to know if you're happy, if you've found peace. She wants to know if you've moved on. But in her heart, she's still hoping that you haven't. When she hears a song that once meant something to the two of you, she pauses just a little longer than necessary, caught in the memory, before quickly changing the subject. It's the little things like this, the fleeting glances, the half-formed sentences, that reveal a truth she can't say. And these signs, although not shouted from the rooftops, are the clearest indication that her heart hasn't completely moved on. Sometimes the signs are physical. Maybe she's reached out in unexpected ways, offering help when you least expect it, or showing concern for things you never thought she'd notice. Even the way she talks about the past may hold clues to her feelings. She may laugh off memories, or speak of them with a certain fondness that doesn't quite match the words she uses. The pain is still there, yes, but so is the tenderness, the love that never really disappeared. It's like the sun behind the clouds, never fully gone, just waiting for the moment to break through. But these signs are more than just signals. They are invitations. They are a call to action, a plea for you to look deeper, to read between the lines and see what's really there. She may never openly tell you she still wants you back, but these signs are the breadcrumbs she leaves behind, guiding you to the truth she's afraid to voice. And for those who are brave enough to see them for what they are, these small glimpses into her heart can be the beginning of something beautiful, something that was never truly lost, only waiting for the right moment to be found again. Why she won't say at first is often tied to a deep and complex emotional fear. She doesn't admit she wants you back, not because she doesn't love you, but because she's afraid. She's afraid that if she opens her heart again, it might be shattered in the same way it was before. She's afraid of vulnerability, of showing the rawness of her emotions and giving you the power to hurt her once more. Relationships, especially those that have ended in pain or distance, create a sort of emotional scar tissue. This scar tissue isn't just a mark of past hurt, it's a barrier that the heart builds to protect itself. It tells her not to trust too easily, not to expose herself to the possibility of disappointment. Again, but it's not just fear of rejection. It's also fear of misjudging the situation, of opening herself up to a situation where the emotional investment isn't reciprocated. She doesn't want to be the one who takes that first step forward only to be met with indifference, or worse, rejection. The vulnerability of admitting that she wants you back puts her in a position of powerlessness, and no one, especially someone who has been hurt before, willingly puts themselves in that position. She's not certain that you feel the same way, that you still care enough to try again. And so she waits, unsure whether she can trust her heart to guide her back to you. This hesitation is compounded by the fear that history might repeat itself. If things went wrong the first time, she worries that going back would only open old wounds. She doesn't want to go through the heartache again, and she certainly doesn't want to risk getting emotionally involved with someone who might not be ready to give her the kind of love she deserves. She might also be afraid that if she admits she wants you back, it will appear as if she is giving in, as if she's putting herself in a vulnerable position without receiving the same in return. But deep down, beneath the pride and the fear, there is still a flicker of hope. She's hoping that you will see past the silence, that you will read the signs and understand her heart, even when she doesn't say the words. She's hoping that, if you truly care, you'll take the first step. She's waiting for you to show her that things have changed, that this time the love you share will be stronger, wiser, and more enduring. She won't admit it outright, but she's hoping you will be the one to reach out to bridge the gap between fear and love, and to give her a reason to believe that it's worth taking that risk once more. Your role in the restoration of love isn't just about waiting for her to admit her feelings or for her to take the first step. No, true restoration begins with you. It starts with your courage to move beyond the past, to shed the pride that has kept you distant, and to take responsibility for what happened. If you're waiting for her to make the first move, you're missing the opportunity to lead. In a relationship, it's not always about who says "I love you" first. It's about who has the strength to lead with humility, to take that first step toward healing and reconciliation, even when the future seems uncertain. Healing doesn't begin with her confession, it begins with your actions, your willingness to meet her halfway. It means understanding that love is not a passive thing. It requires work, it requires effort, and sometimes it requires you to step into discomfort and vulnerability. If you truly want to rebuild what was once lost, you need to show her that you've grown, that you've changed, that the person she fell in love with is still there, but more mature, more aware, and more capable of offering a love that is unconditional and free from the mistakes of the past. In some ways, your role is to help her heal. She may have carried pain for longer than you realize, pain that has made her hesitant to trust again. When you return, you must return as someone who understands the depth of that pain, someone who has learned from the past and is ready to build something new. This means not simply saying you've changed, but showing her through your actions. Love doesn't just heal by words alone. It heals through consistency, through patience, through time. You must be the one to prove that the love she once felt for you is not a fleeting emotion, but a force that can rebuild, that can thrive, even after heartache. This is where you demonstrate the strength of your commitment, not just by speaking of it, but by showing her that you're willing to put in the effort. You don't wait for her to say, "I miss you" or "I want you back." You become the man who is worthy of her love once again. Your actions will speak louder than any words could. This is your time to rise to the occasion, to become the partner she needs and deserves, and to show her that your love is not just a desire to recapture the past, but a commitment to creating a future together, built on a foundation of trust, respect, and understanding. Only then can the restoration of love truly begin, and only then will she be able to admit the truth she's kept hidden. She wants you back. Love that restores is not simply love that repeats. It is love that transforms. To truly rebuild a relationship, you cannot return to what was, because what was is now in the past, shaped by both good memories and painful lessons. If you are going to rebuild, you must return not as the person you were before, but as the person you have become through growth, reflection, and change. True restoration of love means that the foundation you once built together is not just patched up and revived, it is completely rebuilt, this time on stronger, more secure ground. When you approach the possibility of rekindling a relationship, don't do so with the mindset of trying to simply pick up where you left off. That's not restoration, that's repetition. Rebuilding love means understanding the flaws and mistakes that led to the separation in the first place, learning from them, and moving forward with a new perspective. You cannot go back and undo the pain or the missed opportunities. You can, however, acknowledge them, learn from them, and ensure that you do not repeat those same patterns. This process of personal growth, of becoming better not just for yourself, but for the relationship, is what makes love stronger. Restoration also requires an openness to transformation. You can't love someone back to you with the same mindsets and behaviors that led to the breakup. You have to let go of old patterns, old resentments, and old ways of thinking. You can't love her with the same limitations that held you back before. If you've hurt her, you must not only express regret, but prove through your actions that you are a new version of yourself, one capable of offering the kind of love that is deeper, wiser, and more resilient. This love isn't about erasing the past, but about using it to fuel a better, more conscious, and more intentional future together. Love that restores is not a return to the familiar. It is a new beginning. It's the willingness to come back, not to relive old memories, but to create new ones, new moments, new understandings, and new promises. It means offering each other grace, recognizing that healing is a process and that the relationship you both once knew will not be the same, and that is okay. In fact, it is necessary. When love restores, it does not merely go back to what was, it moves forward with new insight, new respect, and a stronger bond than before. This kind of love, the kind that doesn't just repeat the past but transforms it, is the only love worth having. And if both hearts are willing to change and grow, then there's nothing that can stop it from flourishing. In the end, the journey of love is never easy. It is filled with twists and turns, moments of joy and pain, and opportunities for growth. The road back to each other, especially after hurt, can seem daunting, but it's not impossible. If you found yourself wondering whether she still cares, whether there's a chance to heal and rebuild, the truth is that the possibility is always there. If both hearts are willing to face the truth, let go of pride, and embrace change. She may not admit it openly, but the signs are clear. Her heart still holds space for you. The question now is, will you be the one to see through the silence? Will you be the one to take the first step, to show that you've grown, that you understand the lessons learned, and that you're ready to build something stronger, something lasting? This isn't just about getting back together, it's about transformation. It's about taking love from its broken state and reshaping it into something new, something better. Love that restores doesn't repeat the past. It creates a future, built on deeper understanding, wisdom, and commitment. And in this restoration, both hearts find healing, both souls find peace, and together they find the strength to love again. So, don't wait for her to say it first. Don't wait for her to admit the love that is still there. Be the one to lead, to show her that this love can be reborn. Your actions, your growth, and your willingness to transform are the keys to restoring what was lost. Love is not just a feeling, it's a choice. It's a choice to return stronger, wiser, and more devoted than before. If you've been given a second chance, don't squander it. Don't let pride and fear dictate the future. Rise above the past and move forward into the future with love that is renewed. Because in the end, love is always worth fighting for. And if you're willing to fight for it, you'll discover that together, you can rebuild something even more beautiful than before. Thank you. And may you walk in the light of love, restoration, and grace.